This is a crazy story about one of the longest transactions ever. So last July, my first-time homebuyer clients found this lovely home. We put in an offer, it was a multiple offer situation, and we had the winning offer. Hooray. We were due to close in 30 days. We had the inspection. There's a few issues, as there almost always are, but we came to terms on the sellers giving us a credit, and we were all comfortable moving forward. So everything was going smoothly with the buyer's financing, and the mortgage was approved. We're almost ready to close. Then the sellers go to get the CO, the certificate of occupancy, and it fails because there's an issue with the chimney. Structural issue, major issue, it's going to be too expensive for them to fix. So they say, we're gonna tear down the chimney. My very agreeable buyer agrees to it, and we decide to move forward. So it's now September. Now keep in mind, we were supposed to close in the beginning of August. So now we find out that the subdivision deed for the property has not been approved by the town. Now, we knew this was a double lot that was being subdivided, and we were buying with those terms in mind, but we were also under the impression that everything had been signed off by the town, which was not the case. And without this deed being signed, we could not get clear title to close. So at this point, my buyer's mortgage rate is expiring. So we convinced the sellers to pay the mortgage rate extension for us until they can get the deed cleared. This goes on for about a month. It's now October, and my client's lease is expiring. He'd been renting, he'd been counting on moving out of his apartment in August, and has now been able to push out the lease until October, but he's officially run out of time. So we convinced the sellers to let him move into the home under a use and occupancy agreement where he's essentially renting the property from them. We then have a final walkthrough before he moved in and discover that a few things were not fixed that they had agreed on in the inspection. So the seller agrees to fix some, give us a credit for others, which is also very common in a transaction, and my buyer moves in. Now we wait, and we wait, and we wait, and week after week, the seller pays the rate extension for my buyer to hold his mortgage so he can eventually buy the home. And finally, last week, the deed was signed up by the town, and we got clear title to close, and we officially closed last Friday. So a huge congratulations to my client, who was a first-time home buyer, and he couldn't have gotten here without the utmost patience and flexibility. And I am thankful to all parties that came together to make this happen for him. I certainly learned a lot along the way too.